Time for a neighborly tip from Jackson Water. Is it okay to pour fats, oils, and greases down the drain if I run hot water?
No!
What if I run the garbage disposal?
No!
How about if I use dish soap at the same time?
No!
Instead, hang on to a few containers to store and toss old cooking fat and grease once you're done. Jackson Water. Water for all the time.
And hello, thank you so much for watching WLBT Plus. My name is Kara Shirley. I'm your digital news desk host, and I am here joined by one of the many candidates running for the mayor of Jackson, Delano Funches.
Yes, ma'am.
Did I say it right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I said it right. We've been practicing. He's been helping me. So you're running for mayor. You've never run for office before.
That's correct.
So why don't we start by just real quick telling everybody about yourself?
Okay, I'm a lifelong resident of Jackson. I'm a product of the Jackson Public Schools. I went to Jim Hill High School, and after leaving Jackson State University, I went to Southern University School of Law. When I returned from Southern University School of Law, I started working with the Jackson Public Schools.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I went to North Mississippi Rural Legal Services. And then from there, I came back to Jackson and started as an adjunct professor at Jackson State University, teaching business law and intro to the legal aspects of business. And while doing that, I was practicing law.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been teaching business law and intro to the legal aspects of business for over 25 years. And I've been practicing law for over 30 years.
Practicing law for over 30 years.
That's correct.
And so then you just decide this is a good time to jump into the mayor's race.
I wouldn't necessarily put it like that. But when our garbage was left on the street,
Mm-hmm.
I realized that we had a problem with our people communicating with each other. And I don't think that that's the way, Christian people deal with each other. Christian people look for solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed like they were satisfied with having a problem. I thought about the biblical story where the two ladies went to the king, whose baby it was. And the king said, cut the baby in half. And one lady began to weep. And the king said, that must be the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, none of those people demonstrated that type of love for our city. And I knew then that I was going to run.
Knew them.
Yeah.
So why do you want to be mayor of Jackson?
Because I feel that I'm intimately qualified to bring to Jackson what's needed. I know that I have the skill set. I've been Jackson has a lot of contracts, and I'm a contract specialist. And also, I've been working when I realized that Jackson was having problems with our youth.
Mm-hmm.
I, along with others, particularly Dr. Hilliard Lackey, we started working with our youth over 10 years ago. And we wanted to reduce crime and change their minds. And by George, after 10 years of continuously working with those youth, we see a big difference in them. So that, along with rehabbing abandoned properties, some which were my own, I just didn't like the way Jackson was looking.
Yeah.
And so I didn't say, hey, I want to be mayor 10 years ago. I said, what can I do as a citizen to make my city better? And I had the pushing of Mr. James Meredith now, because I was complaining, this is wrong, that's wrong. And he told me, he looked me square in the face and said that I was the problem. I'm like, what? He said, yeah, you're not doing anything. So since that point, I haven't stopped working with our youth and rehabbing properties.
And that really kind of answers the question. My next question, which is going to be, how have you been involved in the community? So you've been working with the youth. Tell me, what is it that you do with the youth here in the
Oh
community?
man, we meet every Saturday at Central United Methodist Church Family Life Center. At 10, we have a biblical lesson, we have a meal, and then we have a recreational activity. But with those youth now, we have traveled to Washington, D.C. twice. We've traveled to Memphis once. We have traveled to New Orleans once. And we go to Orange Beach every year. So you have to get them away from this environment and let them see something else. And I'm telling you, it's been working. And what I want to do is continue the program we have all over this city.
Working with the youth on a much larger scale than
That's
what you're
correct.
doing.
That's correct.
Awesome. What do you think has been some of the biggest misconceptions by voters as you get out and you are talking to the constituents and you're out there beating the streets trying to get people to vote for you? What are some of the things that you're hearing from the voters?
People have a genuine trust issue with politicians. And, it's understandable, why they would have a trust issue with our current politicians. But, people know when something's not right. And, don't get me wrong now, Jackson is a lovely city. I love it. I invest personally in this city because this is home. But, when I go to talk to people, they're like, no, we don't want to hear about this. Tell us what you're going to do. I actually had a lady ask me in church, not this Sunday, but last Sunday, are you going to take our money? And I'm like, no, why would you, why?
Yeah. And so that's the biggest thing, is that they're distrusting of the current administration, you say.
I wouldn't, I don't want to say the current administration, just the whole, we have some brilliant people working here in Jackson. And, we just have to clean things up and make it where industry will want to come to this city.
Right. And I understand that, we are doing a program or a series here for the entire year where we're talking about and bringing light the issue of blight here in the community, with the abandoned houses and abandoned buildings and just the ugliness that it brings to the city visually, but not only visually, all of the things that kind of have the domino effect behind that. Industry not wanting to come in, people not wanting to stay here. So saying that, what are your plans to help clean up Jackson and remove these blighted areas?
Day one, since I've already been doing it, day one, that's going to be a priority. I promised the citizens of Jackson that I'm going to, from 5:30 a.m. until at least 8:30, I'll be out here cleaning the city up with the workers we have. So we have to clean it up, and we have to get some pride back in this city. We have to lead by examples. When I was a student at Jackson State, I worked under Coach W.C. Gordon, and I was actually around him long before I became a student. But in the 20 or so years I was around him, I don't think he ever missed a day. So we have to show people good work ethic, and they'll follow suit.
Well, how do you plan then on involving the residents, those that vote for you? How do you plan on involving them in the plans for making Jackson better?
Well, that's my slogan. My Jackson is your Jackson, and your Jackson is my Jackson. So I can't do it. We have to do it.
Hmm.
You know, I have to go out and support the people in the community. I was at a meeting last night and they were talking about abandoned cars and dogs. But you have to go out and support these people and listen to their concerns and act on them. You know, when people tell you there's a problem, they expect some action. So you have to be accountable.
What do you think is the biggest problem in Jackson right now?
A lack of trust. You know, I think there's a lack of trust. And, you know, apart from our monumental infrastructure problem, you know, we have been paving roads, but that's not the problem. Everybody knows that the water lines under the street have been compromised.
Mhm.
And that's why we get these potholes that just pop up as soon as you pave the street. We have to work with our local, state, and federal officials to get the type money we need to fix that crumbling water system we have.
Mhm. What about, let's talk about then bringing up the water system. You know, our city streets, they're horrible. You're talking about paving the potholes and all of that stuff. But the city streets, they're horrible. The water is now being supplied at the direction of the federal government. What are your plans to deal with that crumbling infrastructure within the city of Jackson?
I'm going to work with our local, state, and federal officials to get it done. They took the water control of our water system and lack of management.
Hmm.
You know, we live in a city that is unique. Any other southern city, we live in a city that has 6 universities in the metropolitan area. We got engineering schools, we got law schools, we have all type of talent in this city, and we have to tap into that talent and use it.
How would you do that? How would you tap into that talent? What type of things would you be able to offer?
Well, in my travels around the city of Jackson, I have gone to several and many churches, and we actually have 2 preachers in particular. I always get in trouble when I do this. We have 2 preachers in particular. There's one at Mount Nebo, Pastor Wicks. He's an engineer. We have one at Greater Pearly Grove, Pastor Bridges. He's an engineer. So these are pastors who have grown their churches, you know, beyond your imagination. And they have good people in these churches. We have to get Christian people in these positions and give them the leeway for what's in their heart to come out. And I think that the city will move forward.
Well, let's talk about the crime in the city then, because we have, we know that by looking at the numbers that the crime is going down, especially since
Yes.
Chief Joseph Wade took office,
Yes.
and he's been in there about a year and a half now, maybe even closer to 2 years. But the numbers have gone down, but then they're still bad. It's like there's an improvement, but it is still not where it needs to be. What is your answers to the crime crisis
Well,
here?
as I said, I, along with others, started working with our youth when we noticed that the victims of crime were getting younger
Mhm.
and the perpetrators were getting younger. And we just started engaging youth. Now, Dr. Lackey brought structure to this program. You know, he told us how to deal with children and, you know, how it should be done properly. I think if you spend time with our children, if you really have to love on them.
Mhm.
And it's not just the children, you know, it's their parents too.
Yeah.
So when you spend time with people, continuous time, not 6 weeks, not 6 months, but 6 to 10 years with children, you'll see a difference.
How would you? Because there's a lot of kids here. Is there enough people out there to be able to to put that effort forward towards our youth.
That is my goal. What I'm doing at Central United Methodist Church, we got a lot of people, but we got a lot of churches. And these churches need to be held accountable for children that are within a mile of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we can provide a place for parents to come with their children, and the program that I'm doing, these guys who come down and help me, they're volunteers. So there are people who want to help. Our baseball parks, we need to get them open. We got dads, we got coaches who will come in and help, no charge. So we just have to provide the facilities and a safe environment for them, and we can make some changes.
So what are ways then, you provide the facilities, we fix the facilities up, but unfortunately, if you look at the state of Jackson now and the financial state of Jackson, is there that extra money to be able to pour into these facilities? We've got facilities like the Jackson Zoo or Thalliamara Hall that has been closed for so long. How do you propose to bring in more money so that you can improve the facilities like these, the parks and the ball fields and things like that?
Okay. The facility that we are working out of, it's our church's facility, but the program that we're running is strictly on private funds, private donations. Mm-hmm. We have people who want to invest in Jackson, but there's a trust issue. If they feel that they can bring their money in and that money is going to be spent for what it's supposed to be, we can get money because people want to see this city go forward.
I agree with that. I agree that people do want to see the city go forward because that's something that we have heard of a lot. There are people, they're ready to see a better Jackson. Hopefully that a better Jackson will come out of the next 4 years, come out of this mayoral race. How can you convince, promise, and let your voters be assured that you would never find yourself or even put yourself in a place where our current administration has allegedly found themselves with the bribes that were allegedly taken by the FBI agents and or from the FBI agents? How do we know that you're not going to do this?
Well, you're just like the lady in church. Are you going to steal our money? No. You have to look at my track record. I've been funding the program that I've been working with. It was a Reverend Pickens. His brother sent me a check for $2,000. He heard what I was doing, and he was angry with me because I didn't have a 501(c) program set up, mm-hmm. but he heard about it and he invested in it. And this man is in Dallas, Texas. So there are people all over this country who will invest in you, but it's about trust. If they give you something for something, that's what it has to be used for. And you have to be transparent. If people can't look at your books, you're not being transparent. We got candidates probably running now. You don't know where they're getting their money from. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason for it. If you're not transparent now, are you going to be transparent later?
And so you believe that the voter can believe or trust that you will continue to stay transparent.
Exactly. You have to, because we have a major trust issue. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, how can you convince people, whether they are people that are here in Jackson now, they're people that are going to hopefully maybe be moving into the area, how can you convince them to either become or stay residents of Jackson versus running away from the city and running out to some of the suburbs?
Well, you have to, when people are looking at the attractiveness of a city, they look at they look at the schools, and then they look at the crime statistics. So our crime statistics are getting better, and our schools are there. Let's just say the Jackson public schools are outperforming these new charter schools. But we have to invest in our youth, and we have to invest in our schools. We have to lead by example.
Give me an example of a person that you would follow, that you have been led by, that you feel like maybe a path they took would be
Oh
along the lines of the same path that you would take as
oh my
mayor?
God, it's so many. I would start with like Dr. John A. Peoples, who, took Jackson State from a school with less than 2,000 students. And, he took it to levels over 10,000. I would look at Coach Bob Hill, who trained, NFL Hall of Famers. And, he just, Coach W.C. Gordon.
Hmm.
We have some tremendous leaders in this city. I have come from this city. And we have tremendous leaders still in this city. I was in the barber shop the other day, and Coach Bob Brady asked me, what are you going to do about this baseball situation? You going to get these parks open? And I told him, yes. So I would lead by example. I would use the resources that we have.
Hmm.
These people are still in this city, and we need to use them, and they want to be used.
Well, tell us I should back up a second. Let's talk about downtown Jackson.
Okay.
And do you think that downtown Jackson can be revitalized, and how do you see that happening?
That's where the program that we are working with the children,
Hmm.
it's located on Fair Street, and it's in downtown Jackson. And my grandmother lived on Dreyfus Street, and that's where my daddy grew up. So I have a affinity and a heart for downtown Jackson. That was the city. I mean, that was the center, of, I guess you would say, the black social classes back in the day.
Hmm.
And it's, we all know that they've had money to fix Fair Street, and it's always gone somewhere else. And there we go with this trust issue again. So I would make sure that whatever money is earmarked for that Fair Street district, that downtown area, that it's used for that purpose.
It sounds like that a lot of your platform here that you were speaking on is really about trust, building that trust, and making sure that the constituents know that they can trust you.
You have to show them what you're doing. They have to see it. They need to be able to come and look at it. And I think that if they're able to, people, if you have a problem and you show them and you tell them, they'll understand. But, not telling them, that doesn't work with them.
Your slogan, which you talked about it earlier, is "My Jackson is your Jackson, and your Jackson is my Jackson." Tell me why you picked that slogan and what it means to you.
Because, oh my God, my grandmother and grandfather, my grandfather was a carpenter. So he had houses and things in Jackson. My daddy was a college professor, and he had houses. And my mother was a college professor, and she had houses. So I inherited all of those properties in addition to buying some myself.
Mhm.
So there's an old saying that you can tell where a man's heart is, you look where he spends his money. And my family has certainly spent a lot of money in Jackson on properties. And I want the people of Jackson to feel like it's their Jackson as well. And I'm committed to the investment that I've made in Jackson, and I want them to be committed to doing the same thing.
Before we wrap the interview up here, I will give you a chance to look at the camera ahead of you. And if there's anything that we didn't cover that you want to say to those that may be considering voting for you, the floor is yours.
Okay, you're going to hear a lot of plans out there, but unfortunately, the plans haven't made it to the candidates' hands. I saw a problem in Jackson, and I started doing something. And that was like 10 years ago. I didn't just say, I want to be mayor 10 years ago. I say, what can I do as a citizen to make this city better? And I think if you look at someone whose plan is already in action, who's already been working on the crime problem by trying to reduce crime with our youth and change their minds, someone who's already working on blighted properties by trying to make this community attractive to business, I think that's someone you can trust, as opposed to someone who just has a plan that hadn't made it to their hands.
All right. Well, tell people how they can get in touch with you if they want to, volunteer, they want a yard sign, anything like that.
Okay. If you want to volunteer, you can come to 517 North Fair Street on Saturday at 10 o'clock a.m. We've been there for the last, 8 years. If you want to contact me, you can reach me at 601-969-7400. And we have a website, which is funchesformayor.com. You can reach me there. And I'm on Facebook, and I also have a YouTube page. It's under Delano Funches.
There we go. Well, that is, of course, Delano Funches. He is one of the many candidates for mayor. I believe we have 20 so far. You're the second one that we've gotten the opportunity to talk to. And I appreciate you coming in and spending time with us.
And I really appreciate you having me here.
Thank you so much. We'll be back again tomorrow at 1 o'clock for WLBT Plus with another interview for you. So make sure you are tuning in then. 2:30 today, our First Alert weather team will be in here to give you a look at the forecast. We do have some rain moving in, so you want to make sure that you are here with our First Alert weather team so you can get the details on that forecast. But thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You guys have a great day. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.